and welcome to Inside Politics. I'm Anastasiya Lavrina. The confrontation between Iran, the United States and Israel continues to intensify, pushing the Middle East into one of its most volatile moments in recent years. Turkey has said on Monday that NATO air defenses shot down another ballistic missile that was fired from Iran and had entered Turkish airspace, warning it will take any necessary steps against threats. It was noted that after the threat was neutralized in the air, missile fragments fell on empty areas in Gaziantep. Fortunately, there were no fatalities or injuries as a result of the incident. Over the past days, the conflict has moved beyond isolated strikes and entered a phase of sustained escalation, with missile and drone attacks exchanged across the region and growing fears that additional actors could be drawn into the confrontation. Iran, however, is signaling that it has no intention of backing down despite mounting pressure from Washington and Tel Aviv. Mojtaba Khamenei has been named as Iran's new supreme leader, succeeding his father just over a week after he was killed in US-Israeli strikes. Israel has already described him as a potential target, while Trump had called him unacceptable. Meanwhile, regional tensions continued to rise on Sunday as Bahrain, Kuwait and the United Arab Emirates reported new missiles launched originated from Iranian territory, with several strikes reportedly targeting additional civilian infrastructure. And these tensions, regional diplomacy is also unfolding. Yesterday, the president of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, held a phone conversation with the president of Iran, Masoud Pezeshkian, during which they discussed the evolving situation and broader regional stability. According to a statement by the Cabinet of Ministers in Azerbaijan, entry and exit across the state border between Azerbaijan and the Islamic Republic of Iran for all types of cargo vehicles, including those in transit, resumed at 10 a.m. on March 9th. The crossing had been temporarily suspended earlier this month following a government decision adopted on March 5th after a drone attack struck Azerbaijan's Nakhchivan Autonomous Republic, damaging civilian infrastructure and raising security concerns along the border. As the confrontation continues to expand geographically, analysts are also asking whether additional countries could become involved. One state increasingly mentioned in regional discussions is Pakistan, a nuclear-armed country with complex ties to Iran, strong relations with Gulf states, and long-standing cooperation with the United States. While Islamabad has officially called for de-escalation and has given no indication of military involvement, some experts suggest that the widening conflict could test Pakistan's delicate balancing act in the Middle East evolving security landscape. To discuss these developments and the broader regional implications, I'm now joined by Shiraz Mehmood Khan, research scholar at Western Caspian University here in Baku, and Dr. Mark Merovich, professor at the State University of New York Maritime College in New York. Well, Shiraz, thank you so much for joining us in the studio. And let me start with one of the most urgent topics, as for now, I stated it before, the second ballistic missile fired from Iran entered the Turkish airspace. And I would say this is the second incident which happened within just some days. Ankara has warned that it will take all necessary steps against any threats which may appear in the near future. In your view, how serious is this development? What kind of consequences it may have? And overall, what does it mean where the ballistic missile is entering the airspace of the country, which is also a member state of NATO?
Yeah, okay, so first of all, thank you very much for inviting me. Second of all, that, we have been seeing that ballistic missiles and all these things have been entering different countries. One is Turkey, one is Azerbaijan has witnessed that as well. And even Pakistan, there was like, a few days back, there was this, seashore where a fisherman was struck with one of the, ballistic missiles, whatever it is, the debris and all that. So this kind of, any ballistic missile or any attack on any country is basically against the international law. And Iran was, called by the Pakistan has foreign minister as well, and obviously Turkey has also showed its concern, and Azerbaijan has shown its concern as well. Ilham Aliyev, the president of Azerbaijan, has was deeply concerned about it. Although a lot of injuries and a lot of casualties did not happen, but any ballistic missile coming in any airspace of the world is against the law, and Pakistan is trying to negotiate with Iran on that as well. The foreign minister of Pakistan, Ishaq Dar, has negotiated with his counterpart a few days back, and all these countries who are who I've just mentioned, they do not want any kind of escalation, because already the escalation has gone a high ladder. This would just boost the escalation more, and that might turn this regional conflict into a bigger conflict.
Absolutely. So, Dr. Merozvits, it will be very nice to know your opinion about this. Turkey says that NATO air defense systems intercepted another ballistic missile fired from Iran after it entered the Turkish airspace. From a strategic perspective, how dangerous are incidents like these for the broader conflict dynamics?
The question is broader than that. The question is, why would Iran attack Azerbaijan, Pakistan, Turkey? Why would it do that? Why would it attack the Gulf states? Why would it attack UAE, Qatar, Bahrain? And that's the question, this much more important question to answer. Clearly, the repercussions here are tremendous. For example, Turkey has requested to take its F-16s to Turkish Cyprus. So yes, this will escalate the conflict, but I think we need to understand better why Iran is doing this. Now, you mentioned the discussions with the president of Iran. These are meaningless because it is the new supreme leader who is very extreme, and that is a very worrisome selection that is going to make the decisions here. And that is where the escalation really exists. Why attack your friends, allies, and compatriots in the region? The reason is that what Iran wants to do is expand the war and make it wider and make it harder to unravel. And I think that facts on the ground and facts in the war will resolve this issue. But I totally agree with President Aliyev. I totally agree with the Turkish foreign minister in their statement about the ballistic missiles, that these are unacceptable actions. And whether or not they're at war with the United States and Israel does not give them the right to start attacking people all around the region. But besides the fact that we cannot fully understand why they're doing that, I think there's a big price to pay. And in my opinion, a huge blunder by the Iranians in expanding this war, because I think long range, long term, they will not be able to promote this war in the way they plan. And there'll be some other things coming down the road which may, such as the destruction of their ballistic missiles and so forth, and other primary issues like the nuclear materials that are going to direct this conflict.
Mr. Merovich, before we continue, I would like to confirm one point. Yes, indeed, it happens. And there is actually the differences in the statement being made in Tehran, let's say, when the president of Iran is saying that it has no, let's say, intention to affect the bordering countries and neighboring countries in case there is no threat. Then next day or the same day, we see the statement which is being spread by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps saying that it has nothing to do with the president's position. Does it mean that there is no one single center in Iran where the decisions are being made?
I totally agree with you. There is complete confusion in Iran right now, and it is very possible, for example, the first missile that was launched against Turkey, why did they do that? Maybe there was someone who had command and control at a particular point and was not under the control of the central military. I think what you said is very, very indicative of this. I think it shows that they are completely, their leadership has been taken out and it's dispersed. and they're making tremendously foolish decisions. I would rate them along the lines of Napoleon's invasion of Russia, Hitler's invasion of Russia. I mean, really? Why are they doing that? Potentially, the only reason they would do it is to try to get the Gulf states and Turkey and Azerbaijan to go to the United States and say, please stop this war. And that was the reason. But if that's what their strategy was, that has been an abject failure, because the United States is promoting the war with Israel and is making advances. There are still many problems in terms of the economic impact, in terms of the military factors in the region. And if it continues to escalate, that could be very problematic and make this whole issue raise up into an international conflict. And we haven't talked even about China and Russia.
Very interesting. So, Shiraz, in continuation what you stated, what you mentioned in your previous answer, the position of Pakistan. Pakistan is taking more or less neutral position, asking for de-escalation, of course, the importance of negotiations, but still, in case of continuation of these escalations, the ballistic missiles threat and some others, do you expect Pakistan to join this confrontation, or any other country in the region also to be forced to join the conflict between Iran, Israel, and the United States of America?
Okay, so right now the situation is different. Pakistan is obviously the part of the agreement and all that, but the agreement also says that it is a mutually benefited cooperation between the two countries. It can be, it's basically to counter the terrorism in the region and to foster military relations and sharing the intelligence and all that. B is that Pakistan is trying to negotiate because if Pakistan comes in the battle, for example, I'm just giving an example, that would obviously heighten the escalation more, which Pakistan is not in favor right at the moment, because Pakistan already has a lot of problems with Afghanistan, and Afghanistan, we are, at this point in time, Pakistan's troops are in Afghanistan, and they're against the killing Talibans and getting their checkposts and they have gone to deep inside, almost 32 kilometers inside Afghanistan at the moment. So Pakistan troops are already engaging with the biggest threat to the world, which is terrorism at the moment. And Pakistan has been into the terrorism for decades. Pakistan has lost 80,000 people in the war of terror, and it is one of the main concerns for Pakistan at the moment. But obviously,
and we cannot ignore the fact that
obviously we are not ignoring. We are not, of course, but we are not ignoring this part of it as well. But first of all, Pakistan would like to negotiate with both of the sides, which I don't know. It's like every day there's a ballistic missile. I mean, you're just talking about 20 minutes back. There's something going on. It is as I would agree to the gentleman. It's like quite insane. Some statements from the president of Iran was that he's quite, he's regretful that he has hit his neighbors, and that would not be done again and all that. But again, Turkey and is not safe. We can expect anything from other countries as well. And so this escalation would, Pakistan, the very first thing what Pakistan would do would negotiate more. And come to the terms if it's possible.
But what's interesting, we already heard very strong rhetoric from Washington, including the statement suggesting that Iran's new leadership will face pressure from the United States, meaning that in accordance to the presidential administration, they themselves have to approve a new supreme leader who will lead Iran in the future. So how significant is this messaging in shaping Tehran's strategic calculations?
The problem is that the new gentleman, right, who has just got the throne today, he is son of the last gentleman who died, and this is not really, this is not acceptable to the U.S. or probably to Israel, because the very first thing, one of the very important things U.S. was looking for a regime change, but this is the same kind of regime. So I think that would be a big problem for Iranians in future, because obviously U.S. would like to intervene and make sure that their regime comes in. Otherwise, all the political problems will stay there, all the economical problems will stay there, and that would be difficult for Iran to continue like that.
Well, Dr. Mirovich, what is the mood now inside the United States political establishment? Is there support for a more forceful response, or is there still caution about being drawn into another major conflict in the Middle East?
Our politics is completely divided, Democrats and Republicans. And the reason for that is that we have elections coming in November 2026, and the House and the Senate have very small Republican majorities. And this war is really the key to decide whether or not people are going to vote for Republican or Democrat, and whether the Republicans are going to lose their majority, in which case the Democrats are going to start impeaching Trump because of this war. Now, let's understand what's at stake here. It's all the economy. I remember Clinton said, it's the economy, stupid. Now, this morning, I didn't check, now we're talking, the pre-market open in the stock market was down 500 points. Oil was over $100 a barrel. And the potential here for an economic collapse of the world economy is sitting before us in terms of the Strait of Hormuz and the ability to get oil out to the world through the Strait of Hormuz, and for countries that need oil to be able to get their oil and also natural gas. That, to me, is the key to the whole story here. And if that is not resolved, then Trump is a businessman, and he is focusing on that. I would say, with respect to your discussion on Pakistan, if I may add, that clearly Pakistan has very good relations with the United States. So I think that, maybe Pakistan won't intervene or become directly involved, but certainly I think that the relationship for Pakistan with the United States is very important. And you have to remember, too, that Mr. Modi had visited Israel, if I remember correctly, and entered into numerous economic agreements with Israel. So I think the Pakistanis have to be very, very, careful and attuned to this, this trickiness in South Asia about which of the allies of the United States are favored, who are not. So I think the best bet for Pakistan is to be part of, not in a military way, but certainly in supporting the situation. Now, what is the next development here? It's all going to be economics. It's going to be economics. There's a lot of talk about taking Kog Island, figuring out how to get the oil out of the Strait of Hormuz. If the market continues to tank, that will affect Trump's prospects in the midterm elections, and I think he's too smart to let that happen. Now, what America wanted maybe was a Venezuela solution. What is that? You take out the leader, and then you get, Dulce Rodriguez or somebody to take over. But unfortunately, in Iran, I think, again, foolishly, a blunder, they selected, by the way, the son of the supreme leader, which I think is not the idea of hereditary power. I don't know how that factors in terms of Iran's religious or political beliefs. But to anoint this man who is an extremist will defeat the idea that somebody like Pezeshkian or others, right, or Arakchi or others, even if they are still with the regime, could work a deal with the United States. That's the solution from Iran's point of view.
Dr. Mirovich, you partially answered my next question, which I was about to ask you. Sure. Recently, the United States and Israeli strikes targeted oil storage facilities in Tehran, triggering large fires and sending thick black smoke over the capital in what appears to be the first direct attack on Iran's energy infrastructure during the current escalation. In your view, what was the primary strategic objective behind targeting these facilities, and what consequences could such attack have for the global oil market if energy infrastructure increasingly becomes part of the confrontation?
It's cataclysmic, it's catastrophic. Senator Lindsey Graham, a leading senator of the United States, has cautioned Israel and the United States not to destroy Iran's oil infrastructure, energy infrastructure. That's very, very, very excellent point. But I think the key point here is the Strait of Hormuz, is to try to make sure that the oil and the energy can move out all over the world. If it gets stuck or if it stops, it could crash the world economy. And I think that that's what Lindsey Graham is worried about. And why that strategy was undertaken, I don't know. But it seems that that is a strategy, at least in the short term, that is not going to be very effective. The key is the market. And by the way, I would say Iran has weapons of mass destruction, WMDs. I mean, this is a backtrack. They have nuclear material in canisters. So to me, the main issue in this conflict is trying to find out where that is and securing it. Because then you would end up with a further cataclysm and disaster for the world. So there's a lot of moving parts here. And I think the United States and its allies need to move very, very carefully in figuring this out. But the Iranians certainly have not cooperated. And note that the visit by Kushner and Witkoff was canceled to the Middle East. So that's not a good sign. So as I say, I would say right now, economy, 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 and how you wage the war and how you take control of the nuclear materials is number one on the list.
Sure, as well will be your point of view answering almost the same questions, like more countries are being involved. If in the beginning European countries tried to remain abstain, not to have a direct involvement, now we see the statement in Paris, in London, and some countries even propose the necessity or even the danger of any kind of ground operation. But how do you see this scenario to proceed in the future? Do you expect the European countries also decide to join any side here? And what should happen in order to de-escalate the situation?
Like if Iran continues this kind of an attitude for a longer period of time, this kind of an irresponsible attitude, remember that a lot of, there's a lot of problem in internal Iran as well. A lot of people are against this regime and have been, against this regime for quite a long time. I meet my friends. I know a lot of people who are against this regime and all that. Does not really have much of a support, or maybe it's a mixed, bag. But the thing is that if it continues its behavior like that for a longer period of time, for example, if it has hit Turkey now, Turkey is part of NATO, and NATO can always jump into the war and all that in order to save its own ally. So it's just triggering it. If it continues like that, I believe that the European countries and NATO especially can hop in as well. And probably either there's a problem in the Iranian administration right now. There are 4 or 5 different offices which are running Iran. That's what I can figure it out. Or maybe they just want to trigger the war. That's what is exactly, because coming it from the Iranian foreign minister that we would not do anything anymore, and we apologize and we regret what we did. All right, that was taken really good and a good gesture by all the countries around.
The president himself.
And the president himself, yes. But if it is not. It looks that it was just a statement. It was not materialized much. So it depends on Iran at the moment that how responsible it, because as the professor said that from U.S. side, from Israel side, they want to continue the war, but it depends on the other side as well if they want to escalate the war or not. And maybe I don't know. It depends on the both of the sides at the moment. But escalation for any part of the region, for not only for U.S. or for Israel, for Iran, escalation would not be suited in a longer period.
Well, Shiraz, Dr. Mirovich, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining Inside Politics. Unfortunately, we are running out of time. That's why we have to conclude here, but we will definitely continue following the situation in the region and far beyond. Thank you. Well, what we know at this stage is that the confrontation has already extended beyond its initial scope. Missile and drone exchanges Growing regional reactions and increasingly diplomatic activity all suggest that the implications of this crisis are being felt across a much wider geography. At the same time, economic and logistical decisions, including border regulations and security measures, demonstrate how quickly regional stability can be affected by military escalation. These developments highlights how closely security, politics and regional connectivity are intertwined in today's geopolitical landscape. You have just watched Inside Politics. My name is Anastasiya Lavrina, and I see you next time.